This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story? Our guest today is a British actor who's gone from strength to strength. From Waterloo Road to his big break in Michael Mann's HBO miniseries Luck alongside Dustin Hoffman, joining the cast of The Walking Dead, and sharing the screen with Michael Sheen in Prodigal Son. We chat about fighting zombies, being ready to jump on opportunities, and fulfilling his dream while on set with Kevin Costner on Horizon. Our guest today is actor Tom Payne. Well, mate, thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate it. You must be very busy, I'm sure, with the three kids as well. It sounds like
we got the three kids. We're getting ready to go to Europe next week, and I actually had an anxiety dream about packing last night.
Oh no. Are you in the States at the moment then?
Yeah, we're in Los Angeles now, and we're going to London on Wednesday.
Ah, nice. You can come and have, I mean, the weather has actually been all right for the last couple of days, so hopefully you'll catch it when it's good because it's been
Well,
dreadful.
it's funny because we we're always trying to avoid the weather nowadays because we it's actually really hot here this week, and it's going to get to like 32, 33, and in
Yeah.
Vegas, which is only a few hours away, it's up to like 40, which is completely insane. And we find ourselves trying to escape the sunshine. So
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm telling my wife like, oh, it's going to be like overcast in England, and she's so happy about it. So yeah, don't worry, we're trying to. I won't say that to too many British people though, because they're always very
Yeah.
upset that it's not sunny. But
Oh,
yeah,
poor you.
we're coming over, and we're going to go up north for a bit, I think, and
Oh wow, you
yeah,
should get the
travel
bad
around
weather.
England.
You should get the bad weather if you're
Yeah,
going up north. That's good. I've
yeah,
got my
yeah.
fingers crossed for you. Hopefully London will stay sunny and you can have all the bad weather up there.
The American West was hope, was a dream to make a better life. If you were tough enough, mean enough, if you were resourceful enough.
All I'm trying to do is get as many of us as I can, as far as I can.
It was not a fair place. It was cruel. But people aspired to be great.
Horizon, an American saga.
There's a screening at Warner Brothers here that I wasn't able to go to, but then I went to Cannes and saw it there, which was fun.
That's probably the better way around to do it, to be fair.
Yeah, it was cool. I was not gonna pass up the opportunity to go. You know, Kevin's 69, and it was the first time he'd ever been with a film.
Oh
And
wow.
for someone like that to have never been with a film, you know, you just know like, well, this might be my only opportunity. So my wife and I had been to Cannes before, like 9 years ago. She was doing like a reporter job actually there,
Ah.
and I had a film in the market, and we just thought, oh, we'll go. So we had been, and we went to the Mad Max premiere, and we went to the Grand Budapest Hotel premiere. And I remember thinking when I was sat there, I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, I'd love to see a film that I'm in here. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when the opportunity came up, I was like, well, I gotta go. But they're being, like I said, they're being very strategic about it. So they only really took five or six people, and I paid for myself to go. I was like,
Mm.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
and they
no, fair
and they got me
enough.
a ticket. It
Yeah.
was cool to be there.
Nice. So were you there when they did the whole standing ovation thing and there's
Yeah, yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
crying and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
all
yeah,
that stuff. It was
amazing.
kind of amazing. I took a friend of mine who's so a photographer friend of mine who's actually my neighbor here. He goes there every year, and I took him along, and he was really, yeah, really happy and excited to be there as well. It's just one of those like singular things.
Mm.
And but it's funny though, when we were standing there at the end, like clapping and stuff, I was like, oh, basically make the credits of your film really long because because they play the credits and like everyone claps for the credits and then they clap for the actors. I'm like, great. So take a bunch of actors and have long credits because the camera goes along each of the actors and after the credits. So you could kind of game that whole thing out a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
Um, but it was very cool to be there. And yeah, it was obviously a very emotional moment for Kevin. I mean, it was this film and Megalopolis were both there, and
Mm.
they're both lifelong projects for these guys. And really, however they end up doing at the box office, it's it's really about that. It's like it was a real
Mm.
sense of, and Cannes was like the right place for both of those films to be because they're very director. It's a very director based
Mm.
festival, and it was there where you feel that there's a lot of honor for artistry and for yes, you did the thing that you really wanted to do, and that's great. so that was really cool because we live in a society of film now, which is a lot more blockbustery and it's become very superhero-y, and it's not really, those films are not really anything to do with the director as much. So it was nice to be at a festival where that's given the most importance. You know?
Someone like Kevin Costner, who's been around for decades, and he, Dances with the Wolves, like that was his first directional, and then, many years later doing this, and it kind of feels like, obviously not a continuation, but it feels like it's in the same breath as Dances with the Wolves, this sweeping Western. And as you mentioned there, Francis Ford Coppola's film, how do you pronounce it? Megatropolis, is it?
Megalopolis, I think.
Megalopolis. Did you get a chance to see that?
No, I haven't. I really flew in and out of Cannes, and it came out like a couple days before. But the whole time we were making Horizon, I was talking about it. It was a whole thing because both of these guys were making their like magnum opuses that they've been working on for years and years and years, lifelong projects. And actually, there are a couple of crew members on Horizon who had also managed to be on Megalopolis.
Oh wow!
Which what an experience that is. I mean, it just feels like a moment in time, and it was cool. Like I was very happy to be involved in something which was someone's real passion project, and I've really felt like if you're going to do a Western, then you should do it with Kevin Costner. And what an opportunity. And I would have done like one scene in it, if I'm honest. I'm at that point in my career where I've kind of done a lot of stuff that I wanted to do that was in my plan, and now I just want to work with people who care, and really want to make the best project. I just, I've done a lot of regular television now, and I love it, and it was great, and I've had a good time. But it's not a closed narrative, and it's a very different beast to making a film. And I do want to try and do a little bit more film now, just because of that, because of like, okay, you can see your character from a beginning, middle, and an end perspective, which you don't really get in television. So like Prodigal Son and Walking Dead were both long running things, which I didn't have a huge amount of control over. More so with Prodigal Son, but you're still part of a machine, and there's so many different voices involved. And whereas on a film, you can really kind of turn up and do your thing and come out, and so my part in Horizon is, it's a huge sweeping thing, and there's lots and lots of different storylines. But you can definitely pick out. So my character is in the wagon train portion with Luke Wilson, and Ella Hunt plays my wife in it, and you can really pick out that storyline in the movie. So I just saw Civil War. And like Jesse Plemons is just like amazing, like comes out in that movie with one scene. And I'm so happy to do that kind of thing right now. Like I'll turn up and do one scene in something if it's with someone great and an artist that I really want to work with. Like that's really attractive to me right now. And this was just an opportunity. I mean, this. Sorry, by the way, I talk a lot.
That's good. Go for it,
use one from the pod maybe. But like this came about through my manager. He pitched me for it and sent my materials over. And the casting director was into it and sent the stuff over to Kevin. And then I didn't audition, and I just did a Zoom with him.
Wow.
I happened to be at home with my parents and my wife, and we only had one kid at that time. And my wife was bathing him in the bath, and I just, they called me on Zoom, and they were like, okay, and here's Kevin. And I was talking to him just like I'm talking to you now, with like him above me on the screen. And I had the meeting where usually as an actor, you're used to kind of pitching yourself for the project and talking about the script and everything. And like, yeah, I really like this. And as the meeting went on, I realized like, oh, he was pitching me. And like, because for a small-ish role, because there are no like really big roles in the movie, like people get their moment to shine, and it was a big time commitment for the role. And so he was really kind of pitching me to come onto the project and like, well, we need to book you for this long. And so I halfway through the meeting I was like, oh, I should just shut up now. I need to stop talking and like allow Kevin. And then it ended with him like, and I'd really love for you to come on board. And I was just like,
yes, please.
Trying to like keep your cool and be like, oh well, yeah, I'll consider it.
Yeah, let me think about that for a second.
I'd love to. That would be really amazing. And I put the phone down and went down to my wife, and my mum was in the bathroom with her. I was like, Kevin Costner just asked me to be in his movie. It was just such a surreal thing because from my child, so I'm 41 now, and like, you know, the Robin Hood, Prince
Yeah,
of Thieves
no.
movie, and like The Bodyguard, and all these movies are like big movies from my childhood, and when you're a child wanting to be an actor and dreaming of what it would be like, when I ended up on that set in Utah, I was just like, I was very emotional actually, because I'm like, well, this is everything that I wanted,
Mm.
that I thought film was, and would be. And there's no green screen in my bits, and all this stuff was real and tangible. And also from a from the perspective of a young British guy, like I'm playing. Oh, actually, in this movie, I play British, but like it was just everything that you think a movie is, and
Mm.
everything that you wanted your life to be. And I've done a lot up until this point, but for some reason, this movie really struck me as, oh wow, I'm kind of living out what I dreamed of when I was a
Mm.
teenager, or a small kid, and that was really cool,
That's amazing.
to experience.
That's
Really cool.
amazing. And that, I mean, as you say, it is kind of, this film and Mega Flopolis or whatever you call it. They're both
No, don't call it that. Don't call it
Mega.
that,
Is
Dustin.
that's what the
Don't
reviews
call.
and stuff are going to do if it's not
I
good?
know
But I'm
that's like the
sure.
meme thing. You can't say
Yeah,
that. You'll
yeah.
never get anyone on your
Mega.
podcast from that movie if you call it
What's it called again? But they
Megalopolis.
Megalopolis. But I gotta cut around that. But the
Yeah, right.
Horizon and that, those, as you say, it's kind of a once in a, the last time these people, like last time that I mean, it's pretty much a similar sort of timeline actually. The last time Kevin Costner directed films, I think, was Open Range in like 2003, and then you know
Early 2000s.
yeah, and then Francis Ford Coppola, it's been around the same sort of time, and it kind of feel these two movies kind of feel like we've been struggling with cinema, and there's been all these ups and downs with strikes and everything else, but these two films stand out from all the other things that are going to cinema, and as you say, they're both kind of independent movies, which is kind of mad because they look so cinematic and big and vast. I can totally see why you would step onto that set and be like, "Holy shit, I'm doing like this, what I want to do."
I just also there's an attitude that I um identify with, and I need to kind of come back to in my own career of like, well, I'm just gonna do this, like, and I kind of I like that. I like people who are like, you know what, I'm gonna go and do this, and think of it what you will,
Mm.
but and there's a lack of that, I think, and certainly I've been guilty of it in the past of like, well, I should be doing this or I should be doing that, and I'm very good at following my gut, but definitely my brain gets in the way sometimes, and it's like, well, look at that person over there, or like, well, this is, and as I've gotten older, I've had to remind myself to follow my gut, and really give it up to the heavens, and just be like, well, what will come, and you can't, if you try and mess with it too much, then you might get in your own way.
Mm.
And so there's a maverick sensibility to this film and that film where which I really enjoy, because it doesn't happen very often. Like most of the time, people are waiting around to make what they want to make, and even when they get to direct a script that they want to direct, the studio is still going to have final cut. Uh, and there are good things and bad things about that. There is a reason why the studios have survived as long as they have, and some movies do need cutting and do need studio oversight, and maybe these ones do. I don't know, but I just enjoy the fact that it's two artists who are just doing it and saying, well, you know what, I'm going to remortgage this house, or I'm going to sell my vineyard, and I'm just going to do it
Mm.
before I die. And I think there's an admirable thing to that of just not giving a fuck, really,
No,
and
for
just
sure.
doing it. I
Yeah.
like that, and there's an abandon to it, which is really cool.
Mm.
And some of the greatest acting performances just have that sense of abandon, and like
Mm.
they're just going for something. And I would much rather in my career reach for something than settle.
Definitely.
Uh, and it's always been like that. And I think it's always better to reach for greatness than to just not even try. Like
Mm.
always, that you will never achieve something if you don't try. And the fear of failure is what stops most people. Like the fear of failure, I have, like, on a basic level, like I graduated drama school with 35 other people, and most people stop after a few years because it's
Mm.
too hard. And the fear, and you're continually failing as an actor because you're always auditioning for stuff and never getting it.
Yeah.
There aren't many actors who book every audition. I mean, no actor books every audition. There's always someone who has to turn something down before it comes to you, but you are continually failing, and it's really hard, but it's very valuable. I think there's a lot of risk involved, a lot of personal risk, financially, but also emotionally. And you're continually putting yourself on the line. And I had to remind myself, like, I have 3 kids now, and like, oh shit, like I should play it a bit safer. But but I think you have to always keep an edge to it, because otherwise you end up being unhappy, and you end up taking jobs that make you unhappy, and then that filters down to your family, and you should still keep that drive going to just
100%.
reach. And I think that's what these guys are still doing, and I think it's great.
It's amazing as well at that age to still, they've obviously still got that element of play and wonderment, and they want to create something new and different. And that's why Kevin Costner is such he's an absolute legend. I'm an actor myself, and so I totally get, where you're looking in other lanes and you're looking at other actors and you're thinking, oh, well, they're doing that. I wish I was doing that. I look at you and go, I wish I had the career that you have. The comparison is it's the death of happiness really in this industry. And you've just got to kind of, as you say, do the things that make you happy. And because we have a lot of, actors listen to this podcast. So what you've just said there is, it's as if I wrote a script and go, can you say this? Because this is what, this is perfect, but it's so true. And I hope that actors will listen to this and be like, yeah, fair play for being honest.
A lot of acting is surviving. And I had to, so I moved to LA, God, I don't know, 13 years ago now. And I know it's quite a hard place to survive, and it's quite hard for British people, because it's just a very different culture. But England is also, like, for an unemployed actor, England isn't brilliant, because you just go to the pub every day and complain to other actors about not working, or like look at other actors, like, and it's very nice. But if you continue to do that, you'll never get anywhere, And England can be quite stifling in that sense as well, because it is so close, and you are, always bumping into other people that and like, it's not necessarily healthy to be like that. Whereas LA, like, you're on your own, really. You're your own island, and you choose how you want to be and who you want to see and how you operate. And it kind of forces you to look at yourself and evaluate where you stand and what your priorities are. England can be a bit comfortable in that sense of like, well, I'll just go to the corner shop again. I'll just do that and live in my little world. And then before you know it, you're 40 and you've not done anything. But like, but I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy bitterness, and sniping at other people and all that kind of stuff. What I realized about acting and your career is that you're never really in competition with anyone. Everyone has their own path. And even if you look exactly the same as someone else, you're going to play the part differently. And at the end of the day, if you're a decent actor, everything is kind of arbitrary. So, you'll get down to the last, and then it will literally be based on bullshit. And you can't take it personally. And it's hard that it happens that you come down to the last and you come down to the last. But ultimately, it really is survival. And people drop out. And they do, and like, it's the survival of the fittest, but the fittest is just about just hanging on in there. And to my shame, like, there have been actors who I had written off because they hadn't really been working, or like found success in inverted commas, and then they did, and then I'm like, oh shit, that person's taken off. And they get that chance, and by the time they get that chance, they're ready to run with it, and like, and everything falls into place. I think early success, as much as we all wanted it, is not good. I do think the struggle helps you. It's terrible when you're in it. The older you get, the harder it gets. But I think the people that take off early have their own struggles as well. And I think I feel fortunate to have had my big successes a bit later on, and I'm much more prepared now. Also, I can't mention what it is, but I'm about to do a film, and that's one of the reasons we're coming to Europe. I'm going to do a film, and I'm involved in the behind the scenes on it. And the one thing that I've learned is that availability checking basically means nothing, because we've availability checked a bunch of actors, and like, it's kind of like a backup thing. And I feel bad, like, because I know every time my agent called me and said, "Oh, they've availability checked you for this." I don't think that's ever really worked out in a job, like ever.
Yeah.
And now I know why, because people, producers and casting directors, just they need to know, like they put the feelers out and like, okay, well, if we don't get this major name that we're going for, we've got these people who will do
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
basically that's a lot of what it is. And a lot of it is like juggling money and like, well, this person is, and it's I actually enjoy this part of it behind the scenes
Mm.
because it makes me feel better about things. But like it really is about, well, this person's worth this person's worth that. And it's harsh, but it's true. It's a market at the end of the day. And if you don't want to be involved in that market, then do theatre. And I don't, and I had the same conversation with people who are like, well, I don't like doing the interviews. It's like, well, don't do TV and film then.
Mm.
It's part of the job. And it really is. And I love my job so much. And I don't mind the the interviews so much. The press junket interviews. This is very different. But like
You
press junket
hate
interviews,
this right now. You're like,
no, no.
God, what?
If you haven't noticed, I talk a lot, so I don't mind this at all. With this long form is easier than 5 minute press junket interviews because you just do the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's its own skill. But there are aspects of the business which are really hard, even in success. It's like, yeah, it's boring sitting and doing a press junket, but you have to make it fun and you have to find a way to get through it, because it is part of the job. You can have this romantic ideal about what it is to be an actor, and yeah, but so TV and film, it's that moment between action and cut. Stage is like everything. Like stage is an actor's medium, but I stopped doing stage 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, because it doesn't pay anything, and especially now I have kids and like, great, yeah, I would love to go and do stage again, but I can't, unless I make shit tons of money tomorrow and then I can afford to take some time off. But then it's also like you always miss bedtime, so I wouldn't want to do a long run because it's always missing the bedtime of your kids. So there are challenges out there. Having said that, I think it would be really good for me to do theatre again. But as I said earlier, I do want to get back into film a bit more and just take a bit more time over things. TV moves really quickly, and film it moves quicker than it used to, but it's still slower. And there's a little bit more consideration of what you're doing. Like the director is a bit more important. Well, a lot more important in film than they are in TV. They definitely are important in TV, but there's a lot of oversight, and in film it's a little bit more auteur driven, or it should be anyway.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you've done a bit of everything. It feels like, as you say, TV and film can be very different. And I'd love to ask before we kind of go into, some of the shows and some of the films that you've done, like where did the sort of interest in acting and performing, where did that come from originally?
I was a loud kid that liked getting attention. So
Like
when
to
I
talk a
was,
lot.
yeah, I talk a lot. When I was 5 or 6, I guess, I remember like I was very loud in the choir in school. I was always in the choir, and then when I moved schools to go to like the school that I ended up staying at from 7 to 18, I was 7 and I got pulled into a classroom by a teacher to audition for the school play because I was a loud kid, I think. And I remember that teacher was great. His name was Mr. Roberts Ray, and he was probably like half my age at this point. Like, but pulled
They
me
always
into the
seem so
classroom and auditioned me.
old, don't they? At
I
the
know, and
time.
I know, and yeah, but they're probably younger than I am now. And pulled me into a classroom and had me audition, and then that was just what I ended. I just really enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed doing theatre and getting the attention. I think, yeah, I was quite loud, and I just did the school play every year after that. And as I got older, that was the thing that I enjoyed doing the most. And I was quite a bright kid, and basically my school report cards always went downhill because I was lazy. And then my dad would be like, you got to figure this out. So then they'd be up again at the beginning, and then they go down again because I just get lazy. But the school play thing just persevered, and I did an out of school theatre group as well, which Andrew Lincoln was also in. And yeah, and in my youthful naivety, I was like, well, what are you going to do as a job? Well, I really enjoy this, and I was one of those people that was fortunate to have that, really, because I saw other mates of mine go to university without really knowing what they wanted to do, which is also fine. Like, when do you even really figure that out? But I always had this, so this is what I'm going to do. And so in order to do that, I need to go to drama school, and I need to go to a good one because, or a good one considered by the industry, because the whole point of it for me was to get an agent and start working. So, and it goes hand in hand, like the agents go to the good ones. So you're going to go to a good one, but at the end of it, you're definitely going to get seen and have the opportunity to work and go out into the industry. And that's what happened. I mean, the first year I applied, and I was really selective. I only applied to 3 both years because I saw them to be the best. I wasn't looking to just go to drama school. I wanted to go to one of the best ones because of the opportunities that gives you. I mean, it really was like, there's no point in going to one which people don't go on to huge success from. Like, what's the point in that? Not to disrespect any other drama school, but it was a black and white decision based on what happens in your third year. It purely was not based on like, this one's better than that one in the training that they do. Like I didn't go to drama center because I didn't, also because they were very, drama center at the time, and they're probably still the same, was very, although actually, do they exist anymore? I think they've got like swallowed up by something.
That's so long ago for me as well that I have no idea what's going on in that world right now.
So they were very like Stanislavski and, very one thing, and a lot of the other ones are a big mix, which I think is really, really useful and great. Yeah, so then I got an agent after that and was fortunate enough that they were great and high powered and got me a lot of meetings. And I think I learned a lot during those meetings. I basically learned how to act on film during auditions, because at drama school in England at the time, they weren't doing much TV and film. We got like a week in the third year. And then my agent at the time was like, you need to get on a TV show just to get you in front of a camera, get you camera experience. And that's when I just ended up doing Waterloo Road. But she also said, like, you got to do some theatre, because in England, you'll never do theatre if you don't do it straight away, because it's so close shoppy. So I was one of the Journey's End cast, and I did an off-West End show at the Soho Theatre. But then I got Waterloo Road. And while I was doing Waterloo Road, I got my first film, which then got me to America. And I was very also like that. I was like, any opportunity you have, you need to take advantage of. So in much the same way that I just flew myself out to Cannes for Horizon, I flew myself to New York for the Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day screening, because I knew it was an important thing to do. And I sat next to Morgan Freeman, and I was like, it was epic. But I was like, I wouldn't have happened if I hadn't spent the money and done it, And then I got my representation in America, and everything is just still push.
It never ends. You got to keep pushing.
Yeah. You have to keep pushing. You have to, and you can't lose that. But also now I'm starting to evolve that outside of acting as well, into like producing and writing and directing, because at this point in my career, I've met enough people that I should really take advantage of the connections that I have now and be like, okay, I know that I can get projects in front of people. So, but I've chosen, like, what just so happens, this is what the industry is like in a really hard position right now. But whatever, you gotta, it's also another area that is not any easier than acting, like, but it's just another string to your bow of like, just get more stuff going. And I would tell people now, the industry has changed a lot since I left drama school, but like, I would tell young people now to just do it. Like, first of all, go out and meet as many people as you can, and also just make stuff. Especially now, it's so much easier now with even with just your iPhone. Like, just make things. Learn about filming. Learn about angles and how to edit and all these kinds of things, because you can.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly. Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/life and film, where you'll get episodes early and uncut, amongst other treats. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy this episode, please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life and Film Pod, and find our video episodes on YouTube by searching Elliot James Langridge Life and Film. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you. This podcast is sponsored by Betterhelp. Do you work in the film industry? Are you freelance? Or perhaps you have a 9-to-5? No matter what you do, mental health affects us all. I struggled early on in my career with the uncertainty of if and when I would ever work again, struggling to pay my bills, or simply with anxiety. Don't know about you, but being an actor, it's very important for me to maintain structure in the downtimes, and I found not only exercise, but talking to someone, for me, was a game changer. And so Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, Betterhelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, Betterhelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. And back to the show.
Like there's this duo, these Australian brothers who go by Raka Raka, who they were YouTubers, and they did that.
Yeah,
what's it called? The hand horror film.
Talk to Me.
Talk to Me.
Yeah,
and that was a
incredible,
huge hit. And now they're like attached to everything and doing amazing. And they completely did all that on their own.
Yeah,
you know. And it goes back to like Kevin Smith making Clerks, or people like he like took out some credit cards, or Robert Rodriguez did Desperado. Like that's much easier to do now. Like they had to take out extra credit cards to buy all the camera equipment and all this stuff that you needed back then. But now you just need your iPhone. And I mean, what that means is that there are millions of people doing this now. So the pool is much bigger, but there are a lot of shit ones, and like, if you're good, I really believe like talent will come through. And like, if you make something cool, people will enjoy it, and see it. And I kind of feel like now I'm a bit old now, and I'm like, oh shit, well, I'm still stuck in how we used to do it. It took me forever to. Well, no, but it's just a weird. Now I feel like, okay, I need to collaborate with younger people. It took me forever to get on board with self-tapes. I hate self-tapes. I hate them, and I've gotten better with them. But I need someone to help me with them, because otherwise I'll just be like, no, it's fine, and it's not. Like I need someone to direct me, and because that's how I like to work. I need direction. I want to collaborate, but on the self-tape, it's just you. I'm not really into that. I'm not. I feel like it's a collaborative art form, and like it's not just me in a room trying to make myself look good. Like I need another eye on a performance. I need to be pushed a bit.
How do you do that? Is it your partner that helps you with that, or do you have like friends like actor friends that come over? And
I have a friend actually who I made through The Walking Dead, who is also an acting coach, who I started working with, and and we always do our tapes together now, and that is very, very helpful. Yeah,
it makes a big
because
difference
my
to have
agent,
someone like that.
Yeah, my British agent kind of gave me a kick in the ass, because I had been working on The Walking Dead for 3 years, and then kind of went straight into Prodigal Son for a couple of years, and in that 5 years, and then we had the pandemic. In the 5 years that I was doing that, everyone got really good at self tapes, and the first couple of self tapes I sent out after I finished Prodigal Son, my agent was like, this is not, you got to see what the kids are sending out now, and it's not this. Like, shit, okay, do I have to work at this now?
What would the difference be between what you did and what other people were doing, just out of interest?
I think I don't like to go in, and I don't generally do this on set either, depending on what it is, but I don't like to go in with a this is my performance. I want to be kind of finding it, and like I said, like I need to have a little bit of direction, because we can do it in a bunch of different ways, and I hate being definitive. I don't want to come in and go, this is the performance, and it's kind of anti what everyone says, because everyone's like, you got to make a choice, and I don't like. I mean, I can, and I get it, because I've seen tapes. I've seen a lot of tapes now, and I know what works and what doesn't. But like, making a choice is really strong. But if it's the wrong choice, it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
And then I know, now I know, working with a lot of producers very closely, like they don't have much imagination, and so they'll be like, yeah, that's not the guy. And I'm like, well, if I sent you a tape next week with me completely shaved, and so for Prodigal Son, I still had my beard and long hair from Walking Dead, and I tied up my hair, but I still had my beard, because you never know what else is going to come along. And I did the tape, and the director really liked it. The producers really liked it. Like they invited me in, and they were like, "Hey, we really like you. Do a tape." I did a tape, and then the head of the studio, the head of Warner Brothers, was like, "No, don't like. I don't see it. Don't
He's
like his
got a
beard
beard.
and
Don't
long hair."
like it.
100%. And the director called me and was like, "Yo, the head of the studio wants to go with this person, but we would really like you to do it. And so you've got to shave, you got to blah blah blah, and do the tapes again." And he like helped me and directed me,
Nice.
because he wanted to make it happen. But you need that creative there who really believes in you to make that happen. Otherwise, you just get dismissed in a second. And so in that situation, I was really fortunate. But I mean, you hear about it time and time again in the industry. Like, you've got to have some people who champion you, and that is part of the luck. Like, there's a casting director in England who really championed me and got me in a couple of great projects, which really helped my career. And I've seen it happen to other people as well. Like, that's what happens. Or you get like, DiCaprio was a huge star before, but like Scorsese and DiCaprio have done like 25 movies together now,
Yeah.
because they work really well together and they know each other, and like that has 100% helped DiCaprio's career and helped transfer him from young ingenue actor into Mr. Movie Man. Like it really absolutely helped, and that was a decision by him, obviously, to legitimize himself as an actor. I'm gonna go with this director, and we're gonna work together, and this is because we work well together. And you see it happen a lot. And if you're lucky enough to find that person, then fair play to you. I haven't found that person yet, really.
Haven't found.
Yeah, and I completely get it. Any kind of safety blanket you can get, like, grab onto it.
I have to ask you about, you mentioned it obviously briefly there, but The Walking Dead, going on to a show like that, which, is one of the biggest shows ever. What was that process? Not only just getting the role, but then getting onto set and seeing all these familiar faces and characters and suddenly being a part of that.
Well, in that sense, I didn't watch the show, so
Well,
I
that
didn't.
helps. That helps.
Yeah, I didn't have a big opinion. I mean, I knew it's a big show, and I actually knew because Andrew Lincoln was doing it as the lead, and we actually had a bit of crossover because I was doing this HBO show Luck, which got cancelled, but we shared the same voice coach because I was doing an accent in that, and Andy was doing an accent in Walking Dead, and she was working with Andy on the first season of Walking Dead when we were working together. So I was aware of the whole thing, and I said, "Oh, say hi to Andy," because we knew each other from Bath a little bit where we grew up, but also then we had done Wuthering Heights together like a couple of years before.
There's quite a
So
big
I'll say
age
hi to
difference
Andy.
between you guys, though, right?
Yeah. The drama group in Bath, like we were never in it together, but we did like a benefit together one year. But yeah, there's like six, 7 years maybe. But so I knew about it, and I knew it was doing really well and stuff, but I didn't watch it. And then so when I got the audition, it was all fake. Like, I like to do my research and stuff, but they give you fake sides and a fake character name, so you can't really do that. And I wasn't going to read all the comic books because they've been up, something insane number at that time. So I just kind of went in blind, and the scene was like nothing to do with the show. It was a guy. Shit, what was it? It was a guy talking to a barmaid, explaining why he had cheated on her sister. I think that's what it was, and that's what it was. And it was just like, and so the only thing that I could do, and this is, I think, why they're very clever with doing the scenes that they do, and the casting on that show was amazing. They always got exactly the right person. I think a lot of it was, well, I don't really know enough about this, so I just have to fall back on my natural rhythms. And ultimately, a lot of acting is your natural rhythms, just like with a little bit on top, or just in a different hat and glasses, or like whatever. And I know a lot of actors are allergic to that, including me. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm an actor, I want to play a part. But fundamentally, like, a lot of the most successful actors have found their rhythm, and they know what works. And you can still play different characters within that. But fundamentally, like, what makes you attractive on screen is who you are. And that's what makes you different to everyone else. And so if you can really bring that out, then is what's going to get you hired, because it's what makes you an individual. And so those scenes, I had to fall back on my natural rhythm, and that's what got me cast, basically. But then even when I got the call on a Friday that I got the part, I still didn't know what it was. And my agent was like, "Oh, we think it's this guy." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I looked and I was like, "Oh shit, that guy's a kind of a big deal in the comic books." And that was Friday. My wife was in Stockholm. I went to go see her in Stockholm for the weekend, and then flew to Atlanta and was shooting on Wednesday.
Wow.
So it was really quick, and that's honestly how it's gone a lot of the time. Prodigal Son was a similar thing. Like, we had this whole snafu with not wanting me and then wanting me, and I got cast on Sunday and then flew to New York the next day. Like, it was just very, very quick
Mm.
sometimes. But that's also what I was saying at the beginning about being ready as well. Like, I wouldn't have been as ready as I was for Walking Dead or Prodigal Son. And I think that's a big lesson is the wrong word, but truism that the parts will come when you're ready for them. Because otherwise it will feel fake as well. Like, and it's just I don't know, it's weird kismet sometimes when parts turn up and you're like, oh, this is exactly what I should be doing right now. And it feels easy. You know, both of those jobs were hard in different ways, but the acting wasn't hard in either of them. It's just that it just worked.
I mean, they're both great shows as well, and just to have them back to back like that. I mean, what a gift. But the one that you did mention early on there was Luck, which from my point of view, looking at your career and everything else, that must have at the time that must have been a mad job to get. With Michael Mann was involved obviously in that show, and Dustin Hoffman's in it, and you had a great part in that. Like, was that overwhelming at the time? Was that, what was the thought process?
So that part as well just kind of fit. He was this really ambitious young man who was all about winning and getting out there and literally winning the race. And Michael Mann even said, like, he cast me because he saw that in me. And I looked really young, and I was 27, but I was playing like 19. And yeah,
Well,
I
you were
mean,
27. Yeah, you look a lot younger in that.
yeah, I mean,
That's crazy.
in
Yeah, I
my
mean,
whole career as
yeah,
well.
I didn't realize you were in your 40s now. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was Michael Mann directing, David Milch writing, Dustin Hoffman, Nick Nolte, Dennis Farina. Like, it was just ridiculous, and it was HBO, which HBO is still a great name, but at the time HBO was the best network you
Sopranos
could
and
be
all
on
that was
in
not
the
that
world. Yeah,
long before, was it?
no, it wasn't
Okay.
that long ago. And then, I mean, it was just that was it really. And Scorsese had Boardwalk Empire, and this was like Michael
Yeah.
Mann, like, well, he's got Boardwalk Empire, I'm going to do Luck, and like it was that we definitely felt a little bit of that at the time. And no, it was amazing. I'd never been to the racetrack over here, and it was a very singular experience. But yeah, again, it was the right role for me at the time. Um, I'm not. I don't know. I've realized that I don't ever play the best friend. Like, I've been up for like lots of best friends and lots of there are lots of roles which I'm like, I'd love to be in that film, but it's a weird, and this is a stupid thing to. I'm not complaining actually, but this is a stupid thing to talk about. But it's like a lot of times for me, it's been like kind of lead or nothing. And that's been kind of an annoying thing to deal with sometimes. But then it's an amazing thing of like, well, then you're the fucking lead, like.
Yeah, of
But
course.
what that means is that you're always up against the other guys who always play those leads, and generally they're more famous than you. So you're just waiting for your opportunity to get there. And I mean, like, coming up, like, so Andy Garfield was in the year above me at drama school, and we would bump into each other in London a lot as well. And like, I remember bumping into him outside Spotlight, like very early on. And I was like, "Oh, how's it going?" He's like, "Yeah, fine. I keep losing roles to Eddie Redmayne." This is before like anyone really knew who Eddie Redmayne was, and Pattinson was around at that. Like, all of these actors know each other and know of each other, and we're just all still kind of around each other, like Charlie Cox, and they're just all kind of, we're all still here. And there was that movie, Never Let Me Go, which
Yeah.
I went and read for, and I think Andrea Riseborough was reading opposite people the day that I went in. But I went in and I was like, Andy's booked. Like he can't do this because the role was like perfect for Andy. I was like, he can't do this. So I've got a chance in here. And then he could do it and he did the role. But it goes to show, like, I read it and I was like, oh, this is Andrew Garfield all over. Like,
Yeah.
but if he doesn't do it, like, I'm gonna do it. And but that's also the torturous part of the job. Me and Andy could not be more different actually as actors. But on paper, we're not on the same level at all anymore. But like, there was a point where like, oh, we're competing, and you can just drive yourself mad if you really.
100%.
And I know I met a guy years ago, who I was that guy for, and you never think about that. And you never think about it. But this guy was like, oh, dude, you can get all these jobs that I got for, and I'm like, really? I don't work that much. Like,
You're like, I'm that guy.
But it's really odd because you never think about that because there's always that guy for you as well. And I don't think about it as much anymore. But definitely, like, there's a few guys who we're always in the same pool.
100%.
But we're different. We are all different. And it will come down to money at the end of the day, or like, I don't know. It comes down to stupid stuff. But that never goes away.
Have that. That's there's, I mean, the one for me, which is obviously ridiculous because he's now, I mean, most likely going to be James Bond, but Aaron Taylor Johnson, as he's known as now, he was my every single time I got close to a role, he'd get it, and I'd be like, fuck. And then obviously they start to pull away, and then you're like scrabbling for the smaller parts.
I know Aaron's got a great career at this point, but like people like Aaron, I find easy to dismiss from this conversation because he was a child actor.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it like way longer. Yeah. He's been doing it way longer. So I'm like, meh.
That's true. Like, that's true.
He had a head start.
Well, I forget about that. But when I started, I was like 18, 19 sort of thing. And when I was going up against him, he's a little bit younger than me, but he would have still been around for probably 10 years. So I'm, going up against someone I've just started auditioning. It's like, you got no chance. But at the time,
and all the casting directors know him already, and they got and he's got a body of work, and like, I don't, and I also, he's lovely. Aaron's a nice guy. Like,
so that makes it all better. What an
arsehole. It does.
It's even worse.
Want them to be,
you want them to be a massive prick. That I remember there was even a role that I won't say what it was for, but it was essentially I got down to they were like, oh, you're down to the final for it, blah blah blah, and then they ended up giving it to Aaron Johnson, but then he turned it down. He like decided he couldn't do it, or it was a scheduling difficulty. Then they scrapped the role, and I was like, what? The one time he doesn't do it, and they still. It was like, what the hell's going on? But everyone's got that. Any actor listening to this will be like, there'll be that one actor they think when they see them in the room, they're like, oh, for fuck's sake, not you again.
I did this when I got Waterloo Road. We went up to Manchester for the final. So there was 4 of us who all got the train together all went up to Manchester, and it was kind of I guess, I don't know, that probably will never happen anymore, but like, it was a weird thing, and I got the part, and I was like, oh shit, those 3 guys, like, and I have actually like looked them up since, okay. Just kind of interesting because that role helped me, and like, that's the other thing that I've learned. Like, I noticed on your list of questions that I got sent over, was there a job that was the job? I would say that Walking Dead was probably the job that really leveled me up as far as like public awareness goes, which is very important, obviously. But before that and after that, there have been other jobs that I'm like, well, this is the job, this is the job, this is the job, this is the job, and it isn't. But it isn't in like a small way, It's not that often that you get like Robert Pattinson Twilight, or like something like that is just like launches you like into space. Generally it's little steps, but it is still progress, and like so obviously, so I would say Waterloo Road, we've got me like regular TV gig, and then Miss Pettigrew was my first American movie, which I got over here with, which I got my American representation, and then I got Luck. And then from luck, I did the Physician movie, my first big lead in a movie, and then everything has been like, it's kind of a zigzag, but nothing is like this really, like ever. Even Walking Dead, like Walking Dead was great and like really, absolutely changed my life. But critically, Walking Dead, no one cares. I was like, well, this is it. Like, this is the biggest television show in the world. Like, all the producers are going to want to work with me now, and not really. Like, or like, it's. I talked a lot about Succession. Like, I love Succession, and everyone's amazing on it. It's a great show. No one watches it really. Like, if you look at the viewing figures, like, Walking Dead was getting like 16 million viewers when I joined it just in America. And Succession got under 1 million each episode on HBO. It's like, but it was like industry loved it, won all the awards.
Yeah.
Walking Dead, like, no awards, no one cares. There's some great work done on that show. But because it's genre, it just didn't get a look in that way. So it lifted me up in one way, public recognition, and worldwide public recognition as well. Like that time of being on that show was, I was just telling my wife the other day, like, looking back on it was like a real kind of eye of the storm moment where you don't realize until you're out of it. I mean, like, wow, this is a big deal, but like, it's only when you look back and think, wow, I probably should have done more with that fame, or like, I probably should have, done a little bit, I don't know, done some other stuff, got some more endorsements or something. But
it's always easy to look back and go, oh, I should have done that. But, the fact that you survived it, I mean, some people, could go off the rails doing a show like that. And that could be, the end.
Well, that's what I was saying about, I think it was the right time. 100%. I really, if I'd have had major success in my 20s, I don't think it would have ended very well. Really. I just, no, it's not good. It's not a good look, I don't think. I started that big success in my 30s, and I think that was the right time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's some of those things, and I don't know where I saw this, but what you've just said there, I either read it or I saw you interviewed, and you were saying, you do get these jobs, like you just said there, like you think this is it, this is going to be the game changer, and it's strange, isn't it? How you can never really predict where a job's going to take you or what it's going to do, but as you say, it's just the little steps, as long as you're moving forward and getting those roles, and it's an odd beast.
You can't place too much importance on things either. So like Walking Dead, I threw the tape out on a Wednesday, got the job on a Friday, was filming the next Wednesday, and I wasn't.
That's mad.
I wasn't like, I don't know, at that time. I mean, at that time, I was really like, shit, I might have to move back in with my parents. But like, that tape, I was quite relaxed during that tape, and it just kind of worked itself out. I mean, yeah, it's fun. I don't know, like, it's hard, like, it's that thing of like, don't put too much pressure on yourself, but
also don't not bother.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. Don't not bother. And with my self tapes, I had started not bothering a lot, and now I see every self tape as like, I just did a self tape like a month or two ago, which I sent out, and I didn't get the part, but the casting director is a really big casting director in America, and she emailed my manager and was like, this tape was amazing. The producers are going for someone else, and I completely know why they went the other way, blah blah blah. And then she just tried to cast me. She was like, "Is Tom available?" And I'm not available, and it was kind of like annoying. But I know that casting director. I'm in her head now because I did a great tape. So now I know, like, it is worth sending those tapes out, and making sure they're good, because like I said earlier, like, sometimes you're just not right for something, but you'll be right for something else. You've just got to keep that mentality, but it is hard because you're sending them out into the ether and you never see that response really. And that's what's hard about it.
How often do you actually get to go in the room these days? Do you find you get to do that very often, or is it mainly tapes?
I think I did it for the first time again after the pandemic. I went in for that. It's on Peacock here. It's called Apples Never Fall, the Sam Neill show. That was the first time I've been in. It was really weird. I used to love going in the room, and now I'm like, do I like this anymore? I don't know. Well, it's just like, and it wasn't this, because actually the only two other people in there were girls, but like that whole sitting in the waiting room and seeing other people who look like you, and hearing other people's auditions and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, I am. I got down to the last for Vampire Diaries years
Yeah.
ago. That was one of my first like Hollywood tests, I guess. And there were 7 of us guys. They started shooting the next week in Canada, and they had flown 2 guys in from England, 2 guys in from Australia, 2 guys from New York, and there was 1 guy from LA. And we're all just like, well, it's one of us. And Nina Dobrev had already been cast, and she walked in, and she was taller than me, and I was like, oh, I'm not getting this. And like, I think I was like the second or third person to get cut. But that whole thing of like being amongst everyone else, it's the nervous energy. I'm normally pretty chill in those situations, but you can't help but like feel everyone else's energy, and like there's a little bit of like, I'm gonna be like this and I'm gonna be like that, and I'm gonna psych him out or like whatever. And I just I just want to do the job. But I guess it's maybe better that that's not the case anymore. I just had these casting tapes through for this next film I'm going to do, and like it's so interesting to see people and their auditions now, and like going back again to like what we were saying about everyone will do it differently. They really do. Like you'll see takes from people for exactly the same scene, and they just have different qualities or different readings on it, and there's nothing you can do about that really. And if you try and like shape your performance, then you're being inauthentic, and it will come across, and it won't ring true, and it won't work. So in a way, you kind of have to play it in that, like in the Walking Dead thing, like you kind of have to just play it how you naturally would, because if the more you put on top of that, the more you're getting away from what makes you interesting to watch.
And as you say, you're making a choice which might be the wrong one. They're like, nah.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to say don't make a choice, because I do think that's I think know your intention.
Yeah.
I think TV and film, and theatre as well, but like it's not hard if you know your character, you've done your work, you know your character, you know your relationship to the other characters in the scene, and you know the circumstances, of the scene and how you're entering the scene. That's what was so much fun with Michael Sheen on Prodigal Son, because he's
brilliant,
astonishingly good actor, and it was just really fun because I knew my character really well. I knew our relationship. We would have these like one-on-one scenes, which were emotionally torturous, but which I knew were going to work 100%, because we were just locked into each other and we knew our relationship. And then you just see where the scene takes you, and it's easy. Like it shouldn't be hard. Like that's another reason why I don't ever want to turn up to set with a preconceived idea of what it's going to be, because first of all, that's not my job. It's the director's job and the editor's job to shape the scene. So you just come in as your character and see where the scene goes. And there are things within that of like, know your marks, and you have to exist within a box still. But it's pretty simple as long as you just put your intention in the other actor. That's why I'm a big fan of Meisner. I think Meisner is really helpful for actors, because it gets you out of your head, and it's the most important thing. I think it's hard though, because sometimes I'm like, I know what this other actor. I mean, that's very presumptuous of me, but sometimes I'm like, this actor just needs like a shake, or just like get out of your head and like just be with me in the scene, and it will work. But that takes a tremendous amount of trust in the other actor as well. I've been quite fortunate. I've not worked with anyone really who is trying to shape the scene. I've generally worked with people who are really there, and like you're working together, and when you're off camera, etc., etc. I've worked with 1 or 2 people who've been a bit difficult, but generally it's just fear. They're just scared that either they're not good enough, or that the director is going to shoot them in a way that they don't like, or I don't think you can have vanity. I don't think vanity helps at all.
It's such a bizarre thing, because that it feels like from the audience perspective, that's all it is, vanity. But then that is actually the one thing, as you say, can absolutely ruin a scene. You have to be a team player as well, and not make it all about you, which can be hard sometimes, let's be honest. But
we just went to go see the Bike Riders.
Oh yeah, great film.
I'm a fan of Austin, actually. I thought he was amazing in Dune. It was really, really great in Dune.
I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard he's great.
He was really good in it. I went to go see the first. They re-released the first one in cinemas, and I made sure that I went to go see that before I saw the second one. And I saw the second one in IMAX. It was great. But in the Bike Riders, I feel like they fell a little bit into shooting Austin in a way that was a little bit distracting.
That bit
I
where
was
he's
like,
like this, he's like this on the pool table going like that, when
yeah,
he's
yeah,
and
yeah.
the down lighting,
I,
and you're like, all right, mate.
I get what they were doing,
Yeah,
but it's a little bit distracting, especially since they were riffing off of like Rebel Without a Cause and these movies where they
yeah.
didn't do that. Like those actors just had that magnetism, and I think Austin does as well. I don't think you have to have this, but I think that might have also been a producer's thing of like,
Mm.
well, he's this big hot young star. We need to make him sexy for the young ladies, like whatever, not even just the young ladies, I guess, but like, and the young men. But I think that might have been a bit of studio stuff because
Mm.
watching it, I was like, it's a little bit distracting.
Yeah, the
But he
point
was
that
great.
yeah, it was great. The point that made me think exactly what you just said there was when I realized someone had oiled up his arms, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's a bit weird. But I mean, I love
I
the
saw
film. I
an
thought the film
interview
was great.
I saw an interview with Jeff Nichols where he was saying in that scene, they're all in that scene, and Tom's in that scene as well. And he goes over and talks to Jodie and has the scene. And I don't know if he was sitting down at this point, but Jeff said that Tom from the corner of the room was like, Austin, why don't you just turn around the chair? And Jeff then carried on with the story. And he was like, yeah. And he turned around the chair and then he like did that on the chair. And we were like, and his arms popped out and everyone behind the monitor was like, whoa, what are we making now? And then when I watched the film, I'm like, yeah, okay, you just fully went there with it and just like, okay, let's give him this introduction, which is like, oh, sexy man in the film.
Yeah.
I think he could have been a little bit more aloof, maybe,
Yeah.
and a little less like hunky hunk. But I get it, and it works. But I found it a bit distracting. maybe I
Yeah.
have a thing for Austin Butler. I don't know.
No, yeah, I know. I had exactly the same thing, and obviously, I'll cut around any of this if either of us go too far. But yeah, watching that, I was thinking, I was like, I completely buy Tom Hardy as a psychopath, scary guy. Like, Austin Butler, I was he's
Yeah,
so
but
pretty.
oh, you got to see Dune.
Oh, oh,
You
really?
got to
So
see Dune.
he's
Oh,
convincing
he's
that then.
oh my god. Well, that's what he played. I mean, he plays like the id of a
Yeah,
psychopath in Dune, and he's really good. But I mean, the makeup helps and everything, but
yeah.
he does do it
Maybe it's
really,
how
really well in that
pretty
film.
he is in
Yeah,
Bike
I did. They
Riders.
just shot him. He has the quiff and all the stuff,
Yeah,
and
the
it,
James
it
Dean
was
look.
just they turned it up a little bit too much. I feel, um, but it's cool and it's nice to see. Like I've liked all of Jeff Nichols' films, and
Yeah,
I
brilliant
wanted to go to
director.
that. We got invited to the premiere. I was like, yeah, I want to go to that, and I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, like I'd be interested to see how successful that movie is, and if the audience is there for it,
I hope
which they
so.
should be. But I don't
I
know.
hope so. Well, in fact, Jeff Nichols was the last guest to come on the podcast, so the episode came out today. And
Oh wow,
yeah,
cool.
and I mean the similar thing where like doing the press for that, and everyone was saying this is a great film. Like it'll be interesting to see how it does because cinema's in a weird place
Mm.
anyway. But it's a film that I think people are going to go and see expecting one thing and get something a bit different. But I really
Mm.
enjoyed the film. But
Well, I think
it'll
yeah,
be
I
interesting to
think they'll
see.
get it. You also had you had Tommy and Heidi on, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, which you obviously worked with on Winter. Yeah, Winter.
Yeah.
The only reason that happened is because I've done a couple of films with Tommy, and
Mm.
he was telling me about
Love
Winter at
Tommy.
the time, and yeah,
Mm.
he's a funny guy. And he was, oh, you should watch it, it's really good. So I watched Winter, and then he introduced me to Heidi as well, and so like they both came on as like kind of oh, just guys, do you want to come on and chat right at the beginning of the podcast?
Yeah, yeah.
When I was having people on that I kind of had a connection to in some way. But yeah, Tommy's funny, man. He's great. I haven't seen him for a while because he's obviously over in LA, but yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Actually, he was in
Yeah, I
Scotland
see him.
not too long ago, but mm.
I see him at conventions nowadays. We bump into each other at different because he does a lot of them with the Sons of Anarchy guys.
Yeah, no, of course, of course.
And I spoke to Heidi the other day. She's gearing up to do another film.
Oh,
She's
really?
just
Oh,
finished.
great.
She finished one. She has one coming out, and then she's getting ready to do another one. So
Oh,
she's doing great.
nice.
I was going down the list, and you had John Ortiz, who I love. John Ortiz, he's
Yeah, he's
amazing.
amazing. He's amazing.
So I know him
His
from Luck.
story about, oh yeah, of course, he's in Luck, isn't he? And
Yeah.
he had a great story about how his first role was in Kalito's Way, and you just think, fuck me, that's just that's an insane
Mhm.
first
I
introduction to
know. I know.
filmmaking. And his story about doing that scene with Al Pacino where he dies and everything else was just
Yeah.
fucking hell, like the pressure. But yeah, no, it's been really good, man. I've had some really great people on, and it's amazing how starting something in the pandemic and then just sort of just keep going. It's like with the acting, isn't it? You just got to keep
Yeah,
grinding
keep
away, and
going.
eventually you get to talk to, and like getting to talk to you, man, is a real pleasure. And you're one of those people, not that you've ever been direct competition, but you're someone that is a little bit older than me, but I've always seen as a kind of, oh, he's doing this, almost one of those guys that I'm
Mm.
going, that fucking guy gets all the work. But it's a real pleasure to have you on here because you're someone that I've always looked up to and gone, oh, that, I mean, I would love to be doing that job or doing this and that. So I really appreciate you coming on here, man. It's
No,
been
of course. That's nice. I mean, that's nice to hear because I don't meet people. Yeah, and if I do, they're not honest about it. You know.
great. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
They're
funny though,
like,
because
sorry, what's your name? Who are you? I don't.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
They pretend to not know who you are. Well, I
yeah.
mean, and I still do that. Like, introduce myself to people, and I know exactly who they are. But
Brad Pitt, Brad who? It's like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, if you like pull up my IMDb or whatever, like I've been working now for like when did I leave drama school? For like what are we now? Almost 20 years. And on my IMDb, there's like 25 jobs. And
Mm,
like, you know, some of those jobs were a couple of weeks. So it doesn't feel like for me that I've had this like career as like, oh yeah, job, you know. It's not,
mm,
it doesn't really work like that. But then yeah, when you're looking at someone else, like, oh, well, that person's got great stuff
mm,
going on and they work all the time or they whatever. And you know, perspective is everything.
mm, mm,
Um, and for me, I feel like also because like some of the there aren't that many jobs because I've done a lot of long running things. So like Walking Dead was 3 years, and I didn't do anything else in that time. And
Did you not do
I
anything
guess
else
Prodigal Son was a
because you
couple.
were contracted, or is that like there's just no
I
time,
didn't
or
I didn't do anything else because I had long hair and a beard. It was very difficult,
did that
and I
really
didn't.
stop you from
Yeah,
getting other
yeah.
roles?
I did a crack and rum commercial, where I had long hair and a beard, and that was pretty good. That paid pretty well. But
That
like
makes
I
sense.
no, I couldn't get anything else.
Yeah.
Um,
That just shows
and
you though. That's crazy.
yeah,
A bit because you think of oh, some jobs will come up like, think Lord of the Rings or like Vikings or there's some
there's
jobs you go long hair, beard, great, and then everything else no.
there's interviews that I did around that time when I was leaving, talking about the Lord of the Rings spin-off because I thought they were going to cast young Aragorn, and also Interview with the Vampire
Mm-mm.
and stuff. Which would have been the long hair, like, but then I got Prodigal Son and had to cut it all off. You
Mm-mm.
know, that was a whole other thing of like I'm going to keep this because not many actors have like because I had really long hair. Like not many actors have long hair and a beard, but I guess I was keeping it for disingenuous reasons. It's like, well, I'm keeping it because, but actually, whatever, just live your life.
Yeah,
I
you've
like, I
always
never like, it just, I don't know. Like, yeah.
my
Anytime I've tried to make a decision on something like that, it's just not been the right one.
yeah, you can't force it. And I
No,
had long hair for a while, and it was during the pandemic because I was like, if I'm gonna grow my hair, it's gonna be now because there's no work, there's nothing going on. And I grew it
yeah.
really, really long. And like you, I was auditioning. Once things started rolling out, I was auditioning with this really long hair, and I had a bit of a beard at the time as well. And my girlfriend was like, please just cut it. It can't be helping you with jobs. And just reconfirmed her thoughts. So it's obviously
I don't like long hair.
you're
No,
pigeonholing yourself, and they can't see past
yeah.
it.
Most embarrassing moments, yeah.
Most embarrassing. Well, when I joined Walking Dead, actually, this happened on. Actually, I could. It's kind of the same story, but it happened to me twice, relatively recently. So when I joined Walking Dead, my first episode was basically just me, Andrew Lincoln, and Norman Reedus, and I hadn't worked for about a year up until that point. And my character had been running, and like I was like, oh, I'm running, and I just my camera technique was a bit off, I guess. And I came into the scene and I was just way too big, like way too big. And the director was like, Tom, just gotta be smaller. And I was a bit embarrassed, but I wasn't gonna get fired, although I was a bit like, shit, maybe I'm gonna get fired. Um, but I'm pretty good at taking notes and like turning on a dime or whatever. So it was in that moment that I was like, okay, I gotta change this. But yeah, and in that time I was like, shit, everyone thinks I'm fucking terrible. Like, who's this guy who like doesn't know how to act on camera? And then doing Horizon, so I'm playing first of all, I'm playing this British character, and my wife in it is British as well, and we're the only people with British accents, so we immediately stand out anyway. So less is more was like the title of this performance should have been less is more because you already stand out. But it's very difficult when, like I said earlier on, when you're like dressed like as a character, you're on a movie set, like you dreamed of when you were, it was very hard in that moment. Like the first couple of takes, I was very, I'm in a movie. Like this is how you are in a movie, and it was so embarrassing. And Kevin came over and was like, "What did he say? I can't remember the exact direction, but it was basically like, be real people." And it was mainly to me, I think, and it was just like I don't think it was to Ella. I'm not going to drag her into this, but it was literally like, "You're real people. This is a real conversation. He's another real person." It was when Luke Wilson's character comes over to us and talks to us, and I think I was just a little bit too heightened and a little bit too. I'm in a Western, basically, because it was just I couldn't get over it. It was like the wagons are there and the horses, and I'm an artist in the movie, so I'm an artist, and he's coming over, and I'm talking to him. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" You're just like you're not being realistic, and and then that goes down to prep as well. It's just like just remember that you're a real person. You have real relationships to everyone in the scene. You're in this situation, and so it just takes a few minutes of like, oh yeah, okay, just relax, because it was also the nerves get on top of you as well.
Yeah, of course.
And that doesn't help because you just immediately like you're a bit more stiff and like, oh god, okay, the camera's on me now, and like there's 75 people on set, and like it's on me, and I should play a character now, and it's like no, okay.
Yeah, I think it's worse if you're doing your own accent as well.
Dude, I haven't done my own accent. It's funny because this one in the Blumhouse movie I just did, I played British, and I haven't done for years. Prodigal Son was American, Walking Dead was American.
Yeah.
And so yes, I felt weird doing a British accent as well. But they meet like on a set like that, you stand out enormously. Yeah. And honestly, going back to drama school, relaxation is everything. And I now get completely. I mean, I've got it for a long time, but like. We did, relaxation every single day. You do like massages and like vocal warm-ups, just everything to just get yourself to a base level. I still use some of that now. That's the most important thing that I took from drama school really is relaxation. Everything comes from relaxation. And it's hard, but you have those techniques to fall back on to get there, which is still really useful.
No, definitely. And that, I mean, coming from Kevin Costner, he's one of the most... He always underplays every. He's very like, when you watch him act, you're like, he's not actually doing anything, but he's fantastic. I don't know, like he's not overhamming anything. So to come from him as well, I can see, just be real. That's funny, man.
Yeah, it's very.
To come from someone like that, you must have shit the bed a little bit.
that was embarrassing because it was Kevin Costner. Yeah, but after that, we had a great, it was great, and he was very complimentary, and it was lovely.
Again, like, thanks, man. Really appreciate it, and all the best with it, and keep going because you're doing great things, man. And I still look up to the things you've done. So, all good, man.
Same to you. Keep going. Survival.
Yeah, I will do. Take care.
All right, mate. Congratulations. See you soon.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to our guest Tom, and thank you to his team at Rogers and Cowan. As always, thank you to our sponsor, BetterHelp.